particular case, ESPN polled 103 NFL players and asked them a variety of questions. And on the topic of who's the most overrated quarterback, Josh Allen got the most votes. You see the top three vote getters there. It's Allen, and then it's Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. For the record, others who received votes are Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. Go ahead, Lewis. So one thing, the reason I brought it up, and again, I am a huge, I've said many times, if I had the second pick in the whole draft, everyone would take Mahomes first. I would take Allen second. That's just me. But go ahead. So now the players are saying that, Lewis. Your reaction?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Look, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs are the team that said, look, when we play Josh Allen, we know, and with one swing of that arm, he can win the football game. And he almost did it against them. Just this past year, if Stephon Diggs makes the catch. And that throw, maybe the only other quarterback that can make that throw that he made to Stephon is their quarterback. So basically, they're staring at a guy who can do a lot of the same things that their quarterback can do. And the only way I can really kind of like look at this, with a true, I would say objective perspective is this. Any quarterback that I played against who had that dual run pass capability, that I knew that no matter how deep I was as a safety on the football field, he could still put it over my head. Those are the guys who scared me to death. I remember Major Harris from West Virginia when I played against him when I was at Pittsburgh, thinking, this guy can throw it from anywhere. He can beat me at any time. I have to defend the entire field. Josh Allen does that. He does that. It's that simple. He simply does that. I don't know how he's number one on this list. It just makes no sense to me.
So help me with the psychology of this. You're a psychology major from Wesleyan University. Shout out. Think of anyone else.
Iteration. Honestly, when I read that, opponents, but through you, he played
nothing to do with him.
That old version.
Pick, and to me, if you said he was overrated coming out, Greeny, I would understand that because, again, there was a massive disagreement over his ability. But fast forward now, I'm floored by this because similar to what Lewis said, he could beat you from the pocket, but I know when we were defending him, we were scared to death what he could do outside the pocket, and he's only gotten better.
Yeah, the quarterbacks who went ahead of him in that draft were Baker Mayfield, who went 1, Sam Darnold, who went 3, then Josh Allen got drafted, and that was the year that they had all those quarterbacks, including Lamar Jackson, who went at the very end. So, look, I mean, the players are allowed to vote for whoever they want, and maybe there are some defensive players who look at it. Lewis, you might say, you know what, he's going to throw us one during the game. I get why a defensive player would say that. He throws a lot of interceptions. He's also going to, account for 3 touchdowns. Would she be sure?
Yeah, okay, listen. This is a perfect example as to why, players don't always know exactly what they're talking about. That's the reality. We assume that just because you played in the NFL or you're currently playing in the NFL, that you know the game deeply. And anyone who's actually played sports at a high level, whether it's, whether it's just high school, college, pros, wherever, you will deeply know that there is a great degree of variance of people who actually understand the game, actually understand what's important and how to play it, and others that are just great players or really good players or hyper athletic. There is a huge variance. And this is actually a perfect example of that. In no world is Josh Allen overrated. That is insanity. Insanity. Josh Allen is so elite. We don't even have to go into the numbers too deeply. We don't have to talk about having an all-time great touchdown to interception ratio in the playoffs. We don't even have to talk about that. We don't have to talk about how he is asked to do so much for the Buffalo Bills. The perfect example of this, which I use all the time, because it is the perfect example, against the Kansas City Chiefs, he had more completions than Patrick Mahomes had attempts. And he was the Bills' leading rusher and almost the leading rusher in the entire game. What more do you want Josh Allen to do? That is the perfect proof to show that they asked Josh Allen to do more than any other quarterback in the NFL. He does way more. He is asked by the Bills to do way more than the Chiefs ask Patrick Mahomes. It's not even up for debate. The evidence is right there. He's got to throw 1,000,000 times. He's got to rush 1,000,000 times. He's got to barrel into the end zone. I mean, like, he has to sacrifice his body in ways that they don't ask other quarterbacks to do. It's unbelievable. He has to cycle through offensive coordinators because the Buffalo Bills just can't get it right. They keep having him just have a defensive head coach that has poor game planning. I mean, they leave him out on an island, and yet he has still carried the Buffalo Bills to high levels. You think if anyone else is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, they're winning? Like, I don't understand. Like, or what are we saying? Are we saying if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, they're winning that division? They're going toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, I don't understand. What are we saying here? Dak Prescott leading the Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl? So it's absurd. Were those 11 players were 8 of them from Kansas City? Like what are we talking about here? It makes 0 sense. 0 sense. There is nothing that Josh Allen does that could be deemed overrated. He is a top elite quarterback in the NFL and has consistently proven that. And he's done so with not elite coaches around him, which is incredibly rare. Majority of Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame coaches. Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid, the greatest coach in NFL history from my viewpoint. Especially if you want to argue that, at the very least, the best offensive head coach ever. Josh Allen has coordinators, because when you have a defensive head coach, your coordinator is essentially your head coach for your quarterback. It's like they're not even. No one even knows who they are. No one will even remember who they are. People will remember who Andy Reid is for forever in the NFL. They will not do that with the coaches and coordinators that Josh Allen has had. And yet he's still consistently in the top in the NFL. That is remarkable. Remarkable. What's asked to do of Josh Allen is just so much. And the fact that he then always rises to the occasion, is always there, is always putting his team in a position to win, and would have won against the Kansas City Chiefs if his wide receivers could catch the ball, is nothing short of extraordinary. And we are living in this culture right now where people think you either win a Super Bowl or you don't. And if you don't win a Super Bowl, then you're nothing. And that's just comically absurd. That means the NFL in the last 20 years has really only had 2 good quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Everyone else is just not that good. It just doesn't make any sense. It makes 0 sense. And it's like, again, this is the perfect example of why whatever players say doesn't make it automatically correct. In fact, a lot of non-players can offer great perspective on the game. Certain nuances, I think listening to an ex-player 100% makes sense. But just because you are a player or an ex-player doesn't mean you automatically know exactly what you're talking about. Because it's a lot more complicated than that. In fact, I think actually the people who know the game the best, for the most part, will typically be players, but not top-level players. Players that had to work really, really hard to deeply understand the game. That's why a lot of the best coaches who are ex-players, they were not the top players in the league. They were not Hall of Famers. The people who actually really have to work hard to analyze and understand the game more deeply because their athleticism or skill set was not good enough to bring them to the levels of a Patrick Mahomes and a Tom Brady. Now, the true GOATs typically have both. They not only deeply understand the game to the highest levels, and they have the athleticism and the freak of talents and abilities to be able to put that all together. That's why, like a Tom Brady, like a Patrick Mahomes, are able to combine. But when you have a player who's really, really good, great, even like pretty high level in the NFL, oftentimes it's because their athleticism is able to just skyrocket them. Think of, say, like a Tyreek Hill. I bet you there's many other wide receivers who understand the NFL way more deeply than Tyreek Hill does. But they're nowhere near as good as Tyreek Hill. Because they've had to work harder. They've had to understand the game more. They've had to really learn it from the ground up. They've had to work harder to make each team that they've ever played for. Because they don't have the gifts that, say, a Tyreek Hill has. So when we just see this poll of just 103 NFL players, it's like, okay, well, what are we talking about here? Where are these 103 players coming from? Are they starters? Are they practice squad? Where are they coming from? What teams? And I don't even take this too seriously because also 11 votes out of 103. Yeah. If that was like, if that actually meant anything, then those are pretty weak odds. That's a pretty weak percentage when you're pulling all of that. So although he's technically top 3 in most, it's not like these guys got like 30, 40, 50 votes. That would be more substantial. But the votes have to collect somewhere, and it just so happens to have collected here. But even from my viewpoint, even with that said, 11 votes is a little too rich. There should be exactly 0 votes. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that Josh Allen is indeed the most overrated quarterback in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.